30A, Section 20, the public will not be allowed to physically access the school committee meeting. This meeting will be conducted remotely via Zoom technology. For instructions to follow this meeting live, see the notice of meeting posted on whittiertech.org. Welcome to the Whittier Regional Vocational Technical High School School Committee meeting for Thursday, November 12th. Call to order. We'll do a roll call attendance. Mr. Early.
Yes.
Mr. Wood. Ms. O'Connor.
Here.
Mr. LaBella.
Here.
Mr. Tucker. Mr. Irving.
Here.
Dr. Testaverde.
Here.
Mr. O'Connor.
Here.
Mr. James.
Here.
Mr. Fitzgerald.
Here.
Mrs. True.
Here.
Mr. Fitzgerald. Mr. Lesage.
Here.
Okay. Thank you. Will you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Boy, that takes on new meaning, doesn't it?
Okay. Public comment. Comments can be emailed in advance of the 6:30 p.m. start time to lran@whittier.tech.ma.us. All comments will be recorded to the record, and all attempts will be made to mention them live during the meeting. Any emails received during the meeting before the public comment period ends will also be attempted to be mentioned. We have one public comment we received this afternoon. It's an email from Mary Katzen, and I will read it. Good afternoon. I don't see it on the agenda, but I am wondering if there will be a discussion this evening about Governor Baker's desire for a return to school full-time. What does the board think about that, and how would it work? Do we have a timetable to discuss full in person, or will we keep to hybrid for a while? I don't think the board's ready to comment on that right now. Maybe Ms. Lynch can later. Okay. Move on. Approval of minutes. Minutes of the regular school committee meeting. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any questions or comments? None being heard. We have to do a roll call vote. Mr. Early.
Yes.
Ms. O'Connor.
Yes.
Mr. LaBella.
Yes.
Mr. Irving.
Aye.
Dr. Testaverde.
Yes.
Mr. O'Connor.
Yes.
Mr. James.
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Mrs. True.
Yes.
Mr. Lesage.
Yes.
Treasurer's report. Mr. Lesage.
Move to accept. Second.
Second.
Okay. A roll call vote. Mr. Early.
Yes.
Ms. O'Connor.
Yes.
Mr. LaBella.
Yes.
Mr. Irving.
Aye.
Dr. Testaverde.
Yes.
Mr. O'Connor.
Yes.
Mr. James.
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Ms. True.
Yes.
And Mr. Lesage.
Yes.
Old business. There is no old business posted. Reports and communications. Melissa.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Superintendent Lynch, and all other school committee members. The Whittier community has put in efforts to continue previously offered clubs. I've been provided with information about the club's recent activity as well as start dates for the near future. The Key Club is excited to get going again this year and have already had a remote meeting. They are working out the details of how they can do service while maintaining the safety protocols set up by the state and the school. They are also working on plans that allow them to do service on their own, such as making cards and posters for children in the hospital or writing cards for servicemen overseas. Their next meeting is scheduled for early next week. DECA will be competing at the district level virtually. Updates will be provided when more information is available. The Interact Club is looking for opportunities to engage with the community remotely as well. They will be meeting with the Rotary Club next week to discuss opportunities. Student government has officers from the senior and junior classes and are currently taking volunteers from the sophomores and freshmen. They hope to hold elections this winter. Student government coordinates social activities and fundraisers in the Whittier community. This week, the student government is celebrating our veterans in honor of Veterans Day. GSA has been meeting remotely since the beginning of the school year. One of their members represents Whittier Tech on the GSA Leadership Council, sponsored by DESE and the Massachusetts Commission on LGBTQ Youth. Chess Club will be up and running in the near future. The club will be held virtually through an online platform. A Google site will also be used for club information in Google Meets. The Multicultural Club is set to start virtually on Thursday, November 12th. They will be meeting weekly on Thursdays from 2 to 3. Several members from last year are continuing with the club. The Multicultural Club seeks to cultivate a love for diversity and appreciation for other cultures in the school community. Peer leadership is working on recruiting new members. They have get more as the year progresses. They wish to hold their first meeting this week and will discuss plans to reach out to freshmen and help them acclimate to Whittier Tech culture in the new hybrid model. As more information becomes available and routine is developed, I will give additional updates on these clubs that Whittier offers. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
How's the new job?
It's good.
Yeah, you started?
Yeah, I started 2 co-op weeks ago.
Okay. So good. So I hope it goes well. It's
Thank you.
very exciting.
Anyone else? All right. Thank you very much, Alyssa. Let's move on. Superintendent's report. Ms. Lynch.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Before you, I have some personnel hires and actions. A mathematics special education instructor, long-term sub, a teaching assistant, a school physician, a route bus driver, concurrent enrollment liaison, IT specialist, portfolio liaison, above the influence manager from the Shannon Grant, above the influence advisors from the Shannon Grant, an AP liaison, and the class club advisors, which we're thrilled to finally be up and running. As far as the budget update, Kara Cosmos will be updating you on the budget in next year's timeline. MCAS update, the juniors will take the ELA and math MCAS on their assigned hybrid days between January 14th and January 29th. It will be an online test. The sophomores will take the ELA and math MCAS on their assigned hybrid days between May 18th through the 28th. This will be the MCAS 2.0 and an online test. All freshmen will take the science MCAS on their assigned hybrid days in late May or early June. No dates have yet to be set. This will be the MCAS 2.0 and it will all be an online test. On Thursday, October 15th, I attended the MSBA Owners Project Manager Remote Roundtable meeting along with Kara Cosmos, our business manager. On Tuesday, October 20th, I attended the MABA's officers remote meeting where we continue to have discussions on statewide admissions policies. On Friday, October 23rd, I attended the MABA superintendent's group with attorney Paige Tobin to discuss admission concerns. On Tuesday, October 17th, I attended the Northeast Workforce Regional Planning meeting remotely. On Wednesday, October 28th, I attended the remote MABA officers meeting, board of directors and general membership meeting, along with Secretary Acosta, who spoke about the expansion of vocational education in the state of Massachusetts. On Monday, November 2nd, I attended a remote meeting with Commissioner Riley regarding the new color coding of the COVID-19 map. On Tuesday, November 3rd, I attended the MAVA remote check-in meeting along with John Evans, MAVA and superintendent. He's the MAVA president and superintendent of Keep Tech, along with Elizabeth Bennett and Cleve Chuang, the associate commissioner of vocational education at the state. On Tuesday, November 10th, I attended the MVSA roundtable meeting. Discussion this meeting is mainly around how to increase our school's capacity with using CDC guidance in the 6 feet rule, along with bus transportation. At this time, I'd like to give you a brief update on COVID-19 here at Whittier. To date, we have had 8 students that have tested positive, 4 staff have tested positive, and we've had 39 quarantined as close contacts. Of that 39, 3 were staff members. The public comment, the governor has asked schools to try to increase their capacity for students at schools. We continue to look at ways to be creative and provide more in-person learning, but this needs to be done in a safe way for students and staff. As you know, our plans have always been to have all of our students return to in-person learning. Right now, there are a few barriers, including spacing and bus guidance. And hopefully we'll know more over the next month or 2 about how we could possibly bring in more students, especially into the vocational areas as we move forward. And that is all I have for you tonight. Are there any questions?
Mr. LaBella.
Yes. It's just a point of interest. On all these positions, that you hire on an hourly basis, like the liaison, the specialist, and the portfolio, and
No,
right? They get $38 an hour.
in the memo, you can see that it's different. Sometimes it's a straight stipend and sometimes it's hours for the
Well, these
position.
are all $38 per hour up to so many hours. But the one for influence program manager is at $37 an hour. Is there a reason for that? Or?
That's from the Shannon grant. So that's a grant position, not necessarily a tech position.
Okay, so that doesn't come out of the budget.
Right, exactly.
You got it. Thank you. I thought maybe you just, it was curious to me.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Ms. Lynch.
Thank you.
We'll move on to Coordinator of Curriculum and Staff Development, Dr. Fay.
Good evening.
Hello, Dr. Fay.
Hi, how are you? Kevin, are you going to pull up the presentation? Awesome. Perfect. Thank you. Good evening, Chairman Murphy, Superintendent Lynch, members of the committee. I am here to give you my annual academic update and where we stand at Whittier Tech. The first thing I want to talk about is the summer work that occurred throughout this past summer. So during 2020, we held multiple task force meetings. The one that I worked on, along with Katrina Jensen, the coordinator of data and assessment, was the Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessment Task Force Committee. What this committee did was work to implement the various school-wide learning procedures and protocols based on COVID-19 expectations set out by the Department of Education, as well as the governor's office. Through this work, the teachers, they put in a lot of voluntary time to really standardize learning, assist each other throughout the process, implement social emotional learning, and really set the expectations and the priorities for what was going to be important in both the hybrid, the remote, and in the in-person learning that would occur this year. And that happened for both the academic side as well as the vocational side. In addition to that, we offered a ton of professional development on technology usage. We offered professional development every day of the week except for Fridays through the whole summer. And the week prior to school starting, we offered 3 sessions a day at various times. We felt like particularly that week, people would be gearing up and getting ready for the school year. We offered introductory sessions on how to use technology. We offered advanced sessions. We offered vocational specific, academic specific, and a mix of everything in between. And that was really the staff training the staff, because as Ms. Lynch has said a lot, we learn best from our own people. And so our staff really stepped up to the plate and provided assistance to their peers to make sure everybody was as ready as best as possible as we entered into our new school year. For the program of study for this school year, I just wanted to fill you in a little bit about what's going on here. We are currently offering on the academic side of the building the 4 core areas of English, math, science, and social studies. And then they obviously receive their technical area on the opposite side of the week. All classes are roughly about 70 minutes. It's a double period class. So what's been exciting is that some classes like history and science that were traditionally single period classes have gained some instructional time during this kind of hybrid way of teaching. So we're able to do a little bit more than we've done in the past. The other exciting thing is that the teachers all work in what we're calling resource rooms. So the teachers no longer have their own classroom, which was interesting in and of itself going into the year, but I think it's actually worked out really well. The students stay in their assigned locations, and the teachers are the ones that move throughout the building. So no longer does the teacher have their classroom and the students show up there. Instead, the teachers have resource rooms, and they are situated based on the content or the grade level that the teachers are teaching. So it's given them the opportunity to really sit and talk with their peers while they're doing their planning and their grading, and really do the real professional learning community common planning work in this crazy environment that we live in. Everybody is situated 6 feet apart from each other, if not more, and there's no more than 4, maybe 5 at the most. I don't even know if we have 5, but 4 teachers to a room, so it's actually worked out really, really well. And then finally, through grant opportunity, we were able to purchase some online supplemental materials that can be used to enhance in-person learning that students can use here and at home. And that's really in an effort to try to assist the teachers in any way possible to make the daunting task of teaching 2 groups of students as meaningful and relatable as possible. We do have students who have opted to be 100% remote, and we're calling them the Whittier Online Academy. So they're students who have chosen to not come to school, but instead take their academic and their vocational classes remotely. We're using the program called Ingenuity, and it is an approved remote learning partner from the Massachusetts Department of Education. So throughout the summer, the DESE contracted with them. They offered multiple professional development sessions. We took part in many of them, really learning about what was the best option to deliver instruction for our students. So we went back and forth a lot about, should we do it for have our own teachers offer it? And this has really been the best way that we can accommodate our students and give them what they need. We were lucky enough to be able to fit it into our Title I grant, so the district is not paying for it at all, which has also been a nice bonus, I guess, to it. The students take English, math, science, and social studies. They are online, and we have teachers from Whittier assigned to be kind of resource support teachers, kind of like office hours. So every double period of the English, math, science, and social studies, the students who are at home can remotely check into their their assigned history teacher or their assigned math teacher. So if they have questions or they need assistance, then they can meet with that teacher and they can walk them through what they need to do for their remote learning for that day. On the academic side, we have one teacher overseeing it all and really managing student work. And if they get caught up and hit a computer glitch, he really takes care of it. So it's really been wonderful to see people really work outside the box and really flourish in what they're doing in their various areas of expertise that we might never have seen before. On the vocational side, we have also a teacher in-house that is kind of the liaison, again, just like the academic person, and she works really with all the vocational areas. The vocational teachers are still working with their students who are remote, so they do check-ins throughout their vocational week and give them assignments. And then this liaison teacher really is the bridge between. She has office hours and meetings every day with the students to really make sure they're on track and doing what they need to do for the vocational side as well. Okay, so I wanted to just give you a few updates of where we are overall, and this would be my normal presentation in a non-COVID year of where we are really in our program of studies in general. So this year we're in our first year of the official early college pathway through Northern Essex. So we've always offered Comp 101 and Comp 102 to our, really it's been our seniors in English, but this year it's been very exciting that we're really working with Northern Essex for the early college program. So we have juniors and seniors currently this semester enrolled in Comp 101. And next semester, they're going to be taking Introduction to Psychology. So again, we have Whittier teachers who work here and support them as they're doing their college work. So the students have an assigned period at Whittier where they report to
Kathy, did you get a message?
their classes. And what's good is that
Oh,
what Northern Essex has said is Whittier has the biggest success rate out of all their sending schools. And I think it is because we offer this additional support where the students are not on their own completing a college course. Because I know I've done a ton of college classes online and it's very challenging. So imagine a high school junior or senior doing it. So we offer the support, the period, the instructor. So it's been really wonderful and we hope to continue the process into next year as well. We are in year 2 of our approved by the school committee history, social studies new pathway. So this year, all of our sophomores are taking US history too. So if you were to look at our program of studies, it looks like we're not offering world at all. And really kind of this year we're not, but it's not that the students are not getting it. Our current juniors had it when they were freshmen. And our current sophomores will have it when they're juniors. We have moved it to junior year. So in this weird progression of things as we're rolling through our new system, we have students taking US History 1 and then 2 different years of US History 2 as we move through our new pathway. We're also in year 2 of the state mandated civics engagement project. So that's been really exciting to get the department to really think outside the box. And especially with the election this year, it's been great for students to really think about civics in a different way. We are in year 3 of our school committee approved science pathway. So really our program of studies did not change this year from last year, but again, it's because of the progression and the rollout of the way our classes are working. So next year, we're going to be implementing our 2 new courses for seniors that again was approved by the school committee, and even instructional subcommittee offered insight on changing the titles of the courses. So next year, and we're in the development stages right now, seniors will have the option of taking kinesiology and nutrition or forensics/biotechnology. So that's going to be very, very exciting to implement those new classes into our program of studies. Finally, we're in year 4, so we've been moving right along in our mathematics pathway, and we added discrete math and mathematics and application to our grade 12 program of studies. And again, that was from back a few years ago when we decided to switch our math sequence for freshmen and sophomores to prepare them better for the MCAS exam. All right, so I'm going to close out what I'm talking about today with our professional development. So the state mandated at the beginning of the year that all schools had 10 days of professional development. So Miss Lynch was really awesome to the staff, and she provided them opportunities to really explore what they needed to explore in their own way for learning. So we offered in-person sessions, we offered hybrid sessions, and we offered remote sessions over the course of those 10 days. The various professional development opportunities are the bulleted list here that I have for you. We brought in Kat Lyons, the school attorney. She really talked about legal information and new laws that have come up around school, and she talked about COVID in general. The teachers were able to work departmentally and do some planning and curriculum work. As Kevin is probably going to talk about, we did a big transition over to Power School, so we offered trainings for that. HotWorks is a training for vocational staff that work with kind of fire and flames, and so Paul Muskovich, our vocational coordinator, offered that to the vocational staff who need it so that they then can train their students. They need kind of a train the trainer type of model. We offered, again, technology, really followed up on the technology that we offered throughout the summer. In the event somebody didn't attend any of those sessions, we offered a carousel of training for them. We even focused on staff and student well-being. We had social emotional learning. We offered a mindfulness session, and then we ended it with cultural sensitivity and equity for our students. The last thing that we offered was one of the most exciting professional development offerings we've ever done. As you could see by the final bullet, that most staff left saying it was the best experience that they ever had. And really, this was Superintendent Lynch. Again, she saw this gentleman and said, we have to get him. And so we worked really hard to find grant funding to pay for it. And he really focused on the staff and not on the kids. He said that, you always get professional development about how to be a better teacher. Well, this was really about them and how they, the various kind of ideas he talked about were, looking in your backpack. Everybody comes to school with a backpack, and you've got baggage. And what do you bring into the classroom? Your own trauma from childhood, growing up, what happened at your house the morning of before you came to school, and really, putting down that backpack and really looking at it in a different way. Kind of you find what you're looking for. And he gave a quote about being a hummingbird or a vulture. And Adam Gagney, our assistant principal, really gave this great example to the staff about how his mother-in-law gave his kids a hummingbird feeder, and he had no idea why she did it, and he'd never seen hummingbirds before. And within a few minutes, half an hour, I'm not really sure, hummingbirds were at that feeder. And what he was saying to the staff was that what Adolph Brown or Dr. Brown said is, you get what you're looking for. And of course, he made a joke that, he wasn't throwing out carcasses to find a vulture or anything like that. But how you come into the school year really makes a difference. So again, really thinking about themselves. He talked about being a balcony person, a person who's a cheerleader and not a basement person. And I really think that made people think a lot. A lot of people did a reflection on who they were and what they brought to school. Really just that bitter isn't better, being better than you were yesterday, and that life doesn't get any easier. We just get, as educators, stronger, and people in general more resilient. So it it was really a thought-provoking, wonderful, wonderful opportunity to really kick off the school year. And then the last slide I have is my Bitmoji. Our teachers have been doing these for their presentations that they give their students. I've even been kind of trying to coerce Brian Trainer to do this for the staff for the yearbook instead of their pictures. Everybody has a Bitmoji, but I thought it would be funny just to throw her in there at the end.
Does anybody have any questions for Dr. Fay? Mr.
I have a
LaBella?
question. Oh,
Yes, great presentation. I can see it's kind of a smooth transition into the COVID. I did have one question that since the state, the DESC, has postponed the MCAS, are we doing anything with it or?
We are doing the MCAS. So they postponed it at the end of last school year, but the juniors who should have taken it in the spring as sophomores will be taking it in January.
Oh,
And then the sophomores will be taking it in the spring as usual. What's interesting about the January test is that it's the old test. So not the new test that everybody's doing. It's what they call the legacy test, but it's going to be online. So it's kind of a mix of both. We're really trying to prepare our students because they were preparing prior to the exam or the pandemic, the shutdown, whatever you want to call it,
right.
for the new test. And now they're going to take the old test, but they're going to take the old test on a computer. So we're doing the best that we can. And Maureen, our superintendent Lynch, has been, again, wonderful. And I'm not just saying it, I truly mean it. Really, her focus is the kids. And she has said that time and time again, that our focus this year is to worry about our students' social emotional needs. And if doing that, we have great scores, and that's our hope. But that, you know, we're trying to do the best of both for everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ron, did you have a question?
yeah, I just wanted to know the Wildcat Online Academy.
Mhm.
Have we seen any fluctuation in student enrollment? I mean, how many students do we have doing complete remote? And has that changed since the beginning of the school year?
I think we're at about 140. I'm not sure of the exact number. Certainly, we can look into it if you wanted that. Students, for Mr. Laganis, worked really hard. He kind of vets the kids in a way, right? We don't want the kids to just come in and say, I'm not going to school anymore, let me do it. So Chris does have intense meetings with parents and students on what is the right decision for them and their family and why. And I'm sure Chris can talk a little bit more about it, but you know, I think we've been steady. Maybe we lose a couple, we gain a couple, but for the most part, I think we're kind of holding where we are.
Yeah, Ron, you know, we've been like vetting the parents and accommodating them in either way, whether it's the low or in person, and having those conversations with the families. So we've seen both sides of it. We've seen, you know, parents wanting their kids to come back into the building and the in-person, as well as the opposite. Yeah, Dr. Fay is correct in saying there's about 140 150, and it hasn't fluctuated too much, but who knows? You know, with the fluidity of all this stuff, who knows what's going to happen? We've had both sides of it, though. It's coming to the hybrid and also going out to the wall.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Irving?
Yes, Dr. Fay, excellent presentation, number one. But I have a quick question on civic engagement. Is that being brought in as a unit within the courses, or is it infused within US 1 and 2?
It's we have it currently as a 3-year course, so it will be infused through US 1, US 2, and World. The students it's freshman, sophomore, junior year activity culminating currently. Our plan is culminating in the junior year. And that was really, you know, the state, the governor's regulations didn't have a time frame on it. It could have been done in a year. The law says that they just need to do a civics engagement project at least once in their high school career. We're having it span through 3 years so they can really kind of look at it, grow with it, expand on it, research it. And we feel like once they get to senior year, they're splitting off. We have United Nations, we have American government. So at the moment, we ended at junior year, but that doesn't mean that that will stay that way forever.
But for the most part, when a historical significant event takes place, they talk about the civic impact on it.
So there,
or do they take 3 or 4 weeks out just a whole unit in civics? That's my question.
so yeah, no, they're embedding it and infusing it within their curriculum. So the students are actually kind of picking a stance of where civics minded, I guess, in a way, right? Something that they believe in. And they need to research it. They need to have political speeches. They need to work with partners. So really, they have to do writing assignments on it and research projects. So we're infusing it throughout, but really we're making it about the kids and what they believe in and what they want.
Excellent. Thank you.
Anyone else?
And again, that's the history department. They've worked very hard on that. And that's the history department head has really just blood, sweat, and tears. I feel like he just lives, breathes it. And it's been awesome.
Good. Excellent.
Mr. James.
Yeah, Kelly, with the kids who are doing remote, is there a time limit or can they return to hybrid whenever?
Yes. So we did put a stipulation and we did have kind of a contract that they needed to sign initially.
Yeah.
But I do think that Chris has met with kids who couldn't do that. It was too much. That for their family, they wanted to come back to school.
Yeah.
And I think that's our goal. If we can have the kids in school,
absolutely.
we want them in school. So we tried to put that, I think that time frame to set parameters to it so that everybody in the summer, right? Nobody knew what we were going into. And we didn't want everybody to say, oh, we're going remote. Let's go remote. We don't want to go to school kind of thing. So we really set these parameters. And I think Chris vets them very well in either direction for what's right for them.
Okay. Thank you. Great job, by the way.
Thank you.
And
I just wanted to add, I think we're very fortunate to have Kelly this year with all of the changes and all of the new things that are happening. Her expertise and her knowledge of our school and our program is an asset to the school, but it also reflects very positively on Kelly's growth and professionalism.
Everything happens for a reason. I was supposed to be here.
Yeah.
Ben, did you have a question?
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Fay. I really appreciate it. I guess I'm going to pick on the online again. So how do we know that, I know that the students are working with teachers for the vocational side, but are we pretty sure that they're getting a full vocational learning through that process?
Yeah, I mean, we're doing the best that we can, right? I mean, we can't, I say it all the time, we can't send bricks home to a kid who wants to build a wall when he lives in a multifamily in the city of Haverhill. You can't do that, but we're doing the best that we can. I think our teachers are working really hard to give them interactive activities online using the resources that they have. The vocational staff check in daily on the kids that are remote. 100% remote, as well as the kids who are the hybrid remote, because that's one of the things that Chris and Maureen have talked a lot about. The feedback that they have received from families is that they want the kids connected. And I think the changes as we've evolved and moved through the school year has been really wonderful. I did an observation today of a teacher who had kids in front of her, but she was beginning her lesson by checking in with the students who were remote. And really, while the kids were independently working in the room, she was giving the assignment to the kids who were home and really making sure they knew what they needed to do, what was expected of them, and when it was going to be due. And I think the teachers are working really, really hard, and I think they're doing an amazing job.
Yeah.
I can just kind of
I
chime in
think,
too.
it must be really difficult or impossible. So I can appreciate that. Just since it's a vocational school, we have to make sure we're offering the best possible vocational training.
It's very
But thank
hard
you
to
for everything. I
recreate.
appreciate your response.
It's very hard to recreate vocational remotely. So the teachers have done a nice job. I think, as we look at how we can bring students back, the focus will be on bringing students back during their vocational week, because we really need them to have the hands-on environment as much as we possibly can. So that's the goal moving forward.
Thanks, Maureen.
All right.
Thanks, Dr.
Any
Fay.
other questions or comments for Dr. Fay? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great presentation.
Thank you.
All right, moving on, we're going to jump back to Superintendent Lynch just for a minute to give us an update on a couple of winter items.
Yes, I'm sorry. I was very excited for you to listen to Dr. Fay in her presentation. She's worked extremely hard, but a couple of things. I'd like to have our snow days become remote learning days so that we can have a continuing of learning for our students for this school year. I don't know if we want to have a vote on that, Mr. Murphy, or discussion.
We can do both. How's that? Are there any questions or
sense.
comments regarding having snow days remote so that the kids can get out earlier in June rather than the end of June?
I move that we accept the superintendent's recommendation that our snow days be converted into remote days for the entire student body, and we go from there.
I second
I
that.
second.
I had a
Alright.
question.
Any questions or comments? Ms. O'Connor?
Mask had put out, there was a newsletter that came through about certain protocols for the remote snow days. So we're following all of those.
I haven't seen that guidance. So the one thing that would be is if we couldn't do remote learning is if we didn't have electricity. So that would be a no school day. But if we had electricity, we should be all set to have a remote school day. And the Commissioner of Education has left that up to individual school districts.
Okay.
Maureen, when we do that, how would you divide that up? Because we're so well organized, and all of a sudden everybody will be home. So will that be a problem?
No, because on Mondays, our students are remote altogether. So it was like a Monday day.
Yep, makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's an excellent idea.
Yeah, I do too.
So would you go through the same protocol of announcing it in the morning, Maureen, as a remote learning day or not because of if there's power outages or something?
Right. So if we expect, we like to make the calls at night so that families can plan. If not, we would do it in the mornings, but it's a little bit more difficult in the morning because we need to make that decision by about 5:15 for school buses. So more often than not, if possible, we would try to make the call if it's a for sure thing the night before. But we would have to do it in the morning, but it would follow the same procedures as far as TV stations, a Connect Ed call, those kinds of things.
Any other questions or comments? All right, I guess we'll do a roll call vote for this to make it official. Mr. Early,
Who made the
Yes.
motion?
we had a motion and a second already.
You did?
Yeah, I believe Dr. Testaverde made the motion.
Okay.
You all set, Mr. LaBella?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Early,
Yes.
Ms. O'Connor,
Yes.
Mr. LaBella,
Yes.
Mr. Irving,
Yes.
Dr. Testaverde,
Yes.
Mr. O'Connor,
Yes.
Mr. James,
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Mrs. True.
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald,
Yes.
and Mr. Lesage.
Yes.
All right. Moving on, Director of Technology and Information Systems.
Mr. Murphy, I have one more thing.
Oh, sorry. Hang on a minute, Kevin.
That's okay. Winter sports.
Oh,
So at this time, it looks to be doubtful that we'll be able to have winter sports. And this is devastating to our students and our student athletes. But the priority has to be about having our students in person learning. And there's been many incidents of sports and, you know, we're looking to have more guidance to make an official decision. But I did want the school committee to know right now, especially with it being indoor and basketball. Definitely wrestling has been moved to the spring, but at this time, it is looking doubtful for winter sports. So.
that's sad news.
Mm.
Any questions?
Sad.
Mr. Williams, you're up.
Thank you, Chairman Murphy, Superintendent Lynch, school committee members and guests. Thank you. I'm here for my annual, now 10th annual, technology update on how we're doing here at Wichita Tech. As Ms. Fay alluded to earlier, we did move to Power School. And we did talk about this last year about looking at different systems. We looked about 3 or 4 different systems over the summer and decided, honestly, the moving point for us was that our current technology vendor really had been stagnant, had been bought by a very large company out of Canada who was maintaining it and keeping it there, but it just wasn't keeping up with the times. And what we wanted to do was to be able to move on our terms versus somebody coming to us and saying, it's time, we're going to kill it. So unfortunately, we signed in December of 2019, and then, well, a global pandemic happened. And so, oh, excuse me, page. So really what we did is we looked at Power School, which is an integrated suite of different systems, and took a look at that to really try to achieve really, the problem we've had for years is that we had all these different systems that did all these wonderful things, but none of them talked to each other automatically. So if a student's phone number changed, 4 different people in 7 different systems had to manually change that number. And we had that sort of duplication of effort. And really, you know, when you have that duplicate data entry, you introduce error all over the place. And it was just taking more and more administrative time, and it takes that time entering phone numbers in by 4 different people. It takes away from what maybe that person really needs to be doing, whether it's supporting students or supporting other building. So what we did is we contracted with Power School to implement 5 different modules: the SIS, the special education system. We're replacing the teacher evaluation system. We're also replacing the student assessment system, so a system that allows teachers to make tests and assess students that way, and also supplement our admission systems that we use. At the same time, because Power School is the largest largest SIS vendor in the country, actually in the world, they have a lot of connections to external systems. So we took advantage of that time to look at other things that weren't offered by Power School that would work directly with Power School to, again, make some of that efficiencies come alight. So one of the tools we use is something called ClassLink. ClassLink does 2 things. One thing is it organizes all the different online learning applications or systems that teachers and students will use and puts it in a single portal where now they can just go to one place, and when they click on a portal, it automatically signs them in. So single sign-on to get into things like Naviance, to get into things like IXL, Google Classroom, et cetera, et cetera. So it just makes it easier. You're not having to remember all these different passwords. You don't have to typing them constantly, et cetera, et cetera. And the other piece is we replaced the older Blackboard Connect Ed messaging system with School Messenger, which again does the same sort of things, the no school calls that you were just talking about and things like that. So we signed in December. started to have a few calls, had our kickoff call, and then we were kicked out of school for the rest of the year. So yes, right, timing is everything. School was fantastic, and so all our vendors are fantastic. And so, you know, working in the home office here, as it will, we were able to modify and work with our project management teams at the different vendors to go through. And so through that spring and summer, right up until the present day, we were able to get through installing ClassLink so we could have that integration between the different systems, getting School Messenger up and running so that we would be able to have a messaging system so that when a student's phone number changed, we didn't have to change it by hand. We were able to get the SIS system in, which is really the piece that everybody in the school touches. That's where new students are registered. It's where students are discharged from. It's where your grades are. It's where your attendance is. Everything that basically runs the school that's not finance runs through the SIS, scheduling, all those pieces and parts. While we went through that, we replaced our existing special ed system we've had for years with PowerSchool's special ed system. The system that we'd use for teacher evaluations that we've had for 7 years, we moved over to PowerSchool's one. And I have to say that Ms. Fay and Ms. Jensen did a fantastic job. They took the lead on that because they're the experts. I don't do teacher evals, but they do. And that really came out very well. The teachers and staff just started using that, and everybody is complimenting how easy it is to transition to, and how easy is it for the administrators to actually do the evals in that process. Ms. Jensen and I also just finished the student assessment install. And there's a couple of reasons we wanted this tool. One of the reasons is MCAS that you spoke about. You know, taking a test online is different than taking a test on paper. And we had experimented and trialed some different systems over the past couple of years. Last spring, we did trial the Pearson one that's kind of the smaller brother of the system that does deliver the MCAS. Pearson used to own PowerSchool back in the day, and so their student assessment system is basically that system with an additional 3 or 4 years of development put on it. So we actually were kind of fortunate in that regard. We saw the demo and all looked at each other and said, that looks awfully familiar. Well, it came from a common mother, if you will, at the same place. So we just finished that, and we're now taking volunteers in for early adopters and then be planning a training on that. And then starting in January 1, we'll be with Ms. Lowell. I'll be working on PowerSchool's admission system that will work in conjunction with our existing system that our guidance counselors and our sending schools guidance counselors already use, using that as the screening tool, and then using PowerSchool's admission system once students are accepted and accept their position, using that to bring in all the intake of all the data that we need so that we don't spend the entire month of September and August really chasing down data elements from all the freshmen, which are required to do things like retrieve the MCAS scores from the state and all those things that rely on pieces of data. So pleased to say that we've made it through this process more or less unscathed in one piece and mostly in good shape. And really, I'm not sure that we would have been able to be as successful as we were starting up the school year, especially with the schedule, with the hard work that Ms. Jensen did with our old SIS. With this new SIS, once we had built 3 different models of scheduling, and once we had decided which one we would go on, it literally was bring it into the import spreadsheet, import it into PowerSchool, and literally within 5 minutes, all of our students, all of our staff, all the schedules in place, cohorts, the whole 9 yards. So really it was a special day when we pressed that button to get that import in and could then see everybody knows where they're going to be, how they're going to do it, how we're going to report to the state, et cetera, et cetera.
No, that would take weeks, Kevin.
More than that.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm sorry, go ahead. I put this picture in. This is a picture of my whiteboard that was in my office, and I drew this picture maybe December, January. which really helped me figure out where things are with this chicken scratch and how things all connect in between, et cetera, et cetera. And when we were kicked home for 6 months, I actually had to make this my screen background on one of my computer screens so I could just keep in mind where everything was and everything was connected, because I usually stare at that from my desk in my office every day. It's still there in that shape. A few more check boxes and lines are drawn on it, but it just helped me keep in mind the big picture as we were replacing so many of our systems that we've had for so long, so that we could gain that really the efficiencies now that, a student withdraws and instantly it deactivates all their accounts. Student enters, it creates their accounts overnight. They get an email account, they're set up in Naviance, they're set up in the food service system, not that we serve lunch right now. All those things that used to be a person stopping in their day, trying to remember, oh, I have to go type this in here, I have to go over here and enter this. Oh, I have to remember to tell these two people to do all these things. So we're really starting to hit our stride with this as we go, teachers and staff across the board. A lot of tools in there to help us keep an eye on our students. Just the other day, I was able to open up the, it's called the early warning system. So guidance, and actually everybody now gets automatic badges on students when they start to hit thresholds for attendance, grading, et cetera, et cetera. So it really starts to raise those events up to people without them having to go look for it, if you know what I mean.
Wow.
And the other big thing we did this year, besides the normal, is a lot of remote support. As you know, we were all home, students and staff, during the lockdown, the hybrid and the remote learning periods. We provided as many learning resources for staff and students as we could via YouTube videos, so that as staff went home, all of a sudden they had to become experts in Google Meet and how to set up appointments and how to record their iPad or how to record their Mac or doing all those different things. So we really worked hard to help folks get up to speed as quickly as they could throughout that spring season, knowing that those skills were just going to be absolutely needed come the fall. I don't think anybody had any illusions that come September that anything was going to be different, except that the expectations were going to be higher. We were providing training for the new systems, whether it was remotely or as that first bit started at the beginning of school with the 10 days, we really were able to get all our teachers trained in Power School so they knew how to, find their kids, find their schedule, enter their grades, all these things. Guidance counselors, admin folks, all those things. And, trying to maintain the infrastructure to make sure that we could handle all those things once the kids were back into school. And last but not least, really using our systems to make sure that we could provide as many community updates from March all the way through the summer, right through today, to try and keep people as informed as possible, whether it was finding resources for food or changes to the schedule, how August and September went when, all the school committee meetings, changing when we're starting, how we're starting, et cetera, et cetera. So, and really, there's no way that any one person can do all these things. We are a tiny, small team, but we're a fantastic little team. Lisa Belfiore, who works in my department, and I have been together. I've been here 9 years, and she's been with me for, I've been here 10 years, and she's been with me for 9 of those years. And I couldn't do any of these without her. And Mr. Purcelli also, we adopted him very early on, and he helps us in many, many different ways. This year, he's really the triage point. We don't let students into our office because it's just the two of us, and it's a kind of a tight space, not a great social distancing area. So he's now our point person. Students bring devices right to the library. They have a problem with their iPad, it goes in one bin, and he checks them out a Chromebook to be used for the however long it might take Lisa or I to fix it. And then he's the one who brings it back to them. So a huge help, and a huge help thanks to all the teachers and the staff. Those teachers who are tech savvy really have picked up the ball and helped everybody else. Me and Lisa, we're not in the classroom. So while we can fake what it looks like, it's not the same as using Google Classroom every single day to grade students. We can make a fake Google Classroom, but it's not the same. So, folks like Ms. Dye and others really almost an extension of our department because they bring their experience of the classroom and tie it with some of the technology pieces. So I don't have any cute bitmojis because, well, what you see is what you get, unfortunately, with me. And that is all I have. I'll be happy to take any questions you may have.
I have a comment. I know that this
Yeah.
has been very devastating to many people. And the amount of work and effort that everybody has put in is Herculean. However, the positiveness of this, or a positive aspect of this, is that we are now into the 21st century with technology on just about every area we possibly could be. And that it can only be positive for our kids.
Absolutely. I mean, we were at a huge advantage. We were at year 7 of one-to-one with iPads when we got sent home. Come March, we actually had to put the brakes on our teachers because they just were ready to go, just like it was the next day. And the state's mandate was you got to slow down a little bit. But our teachers were ready to go and raring to go. Again, with Kelly's help and the staff doing all the PD work, really taking those skills that they were forced to learn from March to June and then really enhancing them and refining them so that come the beginning of the school year, whether they're a full remote, whether they're hybrid, et cetera, they really can bring those skills to bear. Really a testament to how fantastic our teachers are.
Yeah. My daughter works, as you guys all know, as a consultant, and she comments now that the students don't mind remote. They're wonderful at it. There are some who feel like, well, it's not really, I like to go back to school, and they miss school, but they don't have problems with the learning because they spend half their life on these machines, I guess, and these devices. But I think we're a step ahead of the game by all the work you guys have done.
I have a question, Kevin.
Yeah, go ahead.
Kevin, I'm really impressed with the change. It's fantastic. I mean, it was already great when my sons had iPads, but this idea of consolidating all the information, I can just imagine how great it has been and what a great thing. I agree with Joanne. There's these positive things that have come out of this, and that certainly is one of them. I'm just wondering, it'd be great is if NECC could take a look at what you guys are doing. Because my son is now at NECC.
They're owned by the state, so.
The system is like, yeah, it's really hard to use, Blackboard and all that stuff. It's very difficult. And so what you guys have done, I mean, would be really nice since a lot of our students do go to NECC and, and do concurrent studies and that sort of thing. It would be wonderful if they could take a look at what you're doing, Kevin. Just saying, maybe Kelly could put in the word. Thank you.
Anyone else?
It's Chip. I just wanted to say, as someone who's worked in IT for a really long time and implemented platforms and conversions and all those things, that the effort that goes into that in the corporate world is usually, teams of people and years, and to see what was done in, such a short period of time, with everything else going on, is just really, really impressive with such a small team. So really kudos to Kevin and the team. It's pretty impressive.
Thank you.
Oh, I got it. So Kevin, when do you think we'll be able to beam these kids around the school?
They're not supposed to move. They're not supposed to move. They're staying in their cohorts. We're not beaming anybody. I think I'm the one that does the most walking from one end of the building to another. That's a quarter-mile walk from one side of the building to the other, and back again is another quarter. I get my steps in. I wave to Maureen on my halfway point every time.
Things have really changed, Kevin.
And a lot of this ingenuity that you instituted, I think you'll be able to use it when we sort of get back to a normal environment.
I mean, that's outside my neck of the woods, really. I've seen it. I see what it can do, and I definitely see there are some things that are good at for some of the areas. But it really is designed to be a full replacement. I mean, my 6th grader is actually full remote because he's suited for it, as somebody said, that they're used to it. Some kids are suited for it, some aren't, My wife I'm where my wife teaches is right here. She teaches 5th grade every single day to 25 kids remotely, 5 days a week. So, I live this situation from one end to the other. My eldest is a 2nd grade teacher in Revere, and that's a crazy place too. So, you get to hear lots of different things. You get to absorb a lot of different things, and you get to have a lot of empathy from lots of different pieces and parts of it. And that's honestly an important part. I've always told the parents during the iPad orientation, when we designed that program, it wasn't just for school administrators, it was for parents, because many of us are parents. We've had kids that have gone through systems, and want to make sure that it's transparent and useful for them, so they knew that why we do these things. So I get it from all aspects, from kindergarten to teaching 2nd and 5th grade to working in a school. So I get lots of different perspectives, which is fantastic, honestly.
Great job.
Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Kevin. Excellent presentation, and thank you to you and your team.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Moving on, Principal Legatus.
Okay, more positives here. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Superintendent Lynch, and rest of the school committee member. As you have heard, our in-person hybrid learning model continues to be very successful. We're finishing up our 8th week, believe it or not. Our Whittier community continues to move forward. We all can be proud of how we are responding and adapting to all these challenges. I want to thank everyone for their exceptional work and teamwork as we move forward. Our own staff members, as you heard from Dr. Fay and Mr. Williams, continue to train all of us with creative professional development, and it's helped immensely with the academic growth. And I want to thank all the trainers as well. We continue to remind our students and when the hybrid in person, the 6 feet apart at all times and wearing the masks to follow all safety protocols. Also, what came up due to our upcoming holidays that landed on Wednesdays, we had decided to adjust our hybrid in-person learning calendar. We didn't want to lose the 3 days for the Group B students, because we had those Wednesdays off to have the students learn face-to-face. So Group B students will report to school for in-person learning on the following days. We already had Wednesday off, so this already worked for Veterans Day, where the Group B students reported November 9th. That was the Monday. Then the upcoming holidays for Thanksgiving, that Wednesday we have off, we're going to have the Group B students again report in person the 23rd. That's the Monday, November 23rd, as well as when the holiday winter break comes up, that Wednesday we have off as well. And then the in-person Group B students will be in that Monday. And I just want to thank everybody for the flexibility. As we know, we're all remote on those Mondays, but we're able to flip-flop and seamless so far, seamless in that transition. And that could probably help. It came up with the snow days. Those seamless transitions to flip back and forth, we see it works. Please be on the watch. As you heard Alyssa, our student rep, say about the virtual clubs. I know that, speaking with a lot of the parents, how do we get the social emotional connection of these students together with other students? And these have been very important. I thank the staff. I thank Superintendent Lynch for getting us going with the clubs and the school committee and hiring our advisors. We look forward to that. I know Kevin's going to advertise sending out the Power School emails and so on in the intranet so we can get our kids involved. Speaking of getting kids involved, our Whittier Wildcat Conditioning Club got off the ground last week, Wednesday and Thursday. And again, weather permitting, we had phenomenal weather. It was amazing. Approximately 75 students participated in 2 cohorts, A-B cohorts at different days, using our brand new turf field. Thanks to Coach Little and Coach Bradley, we're able to set up individual boxes for each student that were approximately 5 yards by 15 yards long. Workouts were approximately 1 hour and staff-driven. Students would go through a full active stretch period first, and then perform a series of functional exercises with agility drills and lots of positive energy. These kids needed to get out there and camaraderie and overall school spirit. It was amazing to see them out there, all properly social distance in the 5 yards by 15 yards. And Mother Nature has, we were supposed to go today, but Mother Nature was a little off today. But thanks to Mother Nature, we were able to pull it off. And thanks to those coaches and the staff and the students, and thanks to Superintendent Lynch for allowing us to get those students out there to get that, physical aspect that they need. Also, our virtual open house was on Sunday, November 1st, first for all of us, and was successfully launched at that 1 p.m. The link is still out there. If you haven't viewed it, it was amazing to see all our, how we advertise all our shops in the vocational area, as well as all the teachers. And I thanks goes out to Rich Baselli, Paul Muskovich, everybody, Kevin Williams, and all the staff that was involved. And it's not easy to make videos right off the bat, which is all new to all of us, become actors who, but we're getting used to it. And that's it for me. I just want everybody to stay safe and healthy, and let's keep moving forward.
Mr. James.
Chris, I just want to congratulate you and congratulate the teachers who were just nominated for the Y Educator of the Year.
Yeah.
I've never seen so many of our teachers represented. That was so great to see.
Yeah, it was
especially
amazing.
the guidance staff.
Yeah, the guidance staff and quite a few other teachers.
Yep, close to my heart.
Yeah, same. And I'm right back at you. They deserve it and all the work they've done.
And a tribute to the school.
Yeah.
I also have a comment in regard to the virtual activities. I think we may be pleasantly surprised because that's what kids do. They're on their games all over the world, and that is part of their daily life, many of them. So, and part of their social interactions. So hopefully that will be a nice plus for them to have their interaction with the students in that social environments.
Yeah, Dr. Testaverde, very good point. That came up today. And I think we're going to have a lot more participation, believe it or not. We'll see. But I really do, moving into the future, I think this is going to be something we can incorporate. So, yes, very, very good comment.
Anyone else? Thank you, Chris.
Thank you very much, everyone. Stay healthy.
You too, sir.
Have a good holiday.
Yeah, you too.
Business manager, Kara.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Superintendent Lynch, and members of the committee. I have a couple of things for you this evening. The first is, in your packet, I provided the budget calendar for FY22, and believe it or not, yes, it is that time of year again. We've already started working on my end in my office, preparing for the FY22 budget. And if you look at the memo that I wrote to the superintendent, it basically follows the same format that we had last year, the same types of dates when you will be looking at budget information. I believe that you do vote on this, so I would ask your approval of the budget calendar as presented.
Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Roll call. Mr. Early.
Yes.
Ms. O'Connor.
Yes.
Mr. LaBella.
Yes.
Mr. Irving.
Yes.
Dr. Testaverde.
Yes.
Mr. O'Connor.
Yes.
Mr. James.
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Mrs. True.
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald.
Yes.
And Mr. Lesage. Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
We should also note that we voted previously to make the reorg on the 12th, the Monday, the 12th. Sometimes we put that in with a budget scheduling.
Oh, Monday, the 12th of April.
Yeah, just a reminder.
Yeah. Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
In regard to meetings, obviously, we've been doing everything online. Are we going to be doing budget meetings online as well? Subcommittee meetings? Continually for the next 5 months, 4 months?
Well, it's hard to say how long it's gonna last, but for now, I would say yes.
Okay.
Carrie, you got anything to add to that?
No, I think that it depends on what's going on in terms of the school here. I mean, obviously, we had hoped to be meeting in person before we, up now, we thought we probably would be meeting in person, and we keep hearing about things spiking. So I guess it depends on where we are when January comes around and February comes around. But we certainly can do meetings like we're doing them now and have all the documents either provided to you electronically or through the mail or whatever. So I guess it depends.
Thank you.
I don't have a crystal ball.
Yeah. I think we all realize that. It's good to know that right now our plan needs to be, we're going to continue the way we are for a few months probably anyway, maybe into spring, we'll see.
We'll see. At the last meeting, I was asked to provide an update on the athletic field project and to get a report from the architect, and I'm happy to do that. The third phase of the project, as you know, was to finalize the track. We redid the track and made it an 8-lane track. And this work was completed over the months of July and August as weather permitted. So the architect reported to me that there remains just one outstanding punch list item, and that is for the contractor to reconnect the irrigation system to the upper field. Once this is completed, the architect will do an audit of the system and let us know that everything is in proper working order, and then the project will be absolutely complete. So we're pretty much there, except for down to that last punch list item. So I wanted to provide the committee with an update on that because it was a question that was asked at the last meeting.
Are we still holding retainage on that?
I believe there's about $20,000 of retainage, and I do not believe that the irrigation system will cost anywhere near that, but they always keep a bit of retainage. And I think that the construction company has to provide us with some manuals and things like that. So that's what the retainage is there for. It's very small.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
What about the maintenance?
I think I mentioned it last meeting. We have actually contracted with the architect. They also own a turf maintenance company, and we've contracted with them annually, and they come out quarterly to look at the field. Well, there's a couple of things. They come out quarterly to make sure everything's in working order. And I believe we have a 10-year warranty with the construction company to actually come out and look at the turf and make sure that that is in working order. So we have a couple of things out there to ensure that that field stays in tip-top condition.
Great.
Anyone else? All right, thanks, Kara.
Thank you. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving, everyone. Stay safe.
Committee chairperson, December annual agenda items. There are no December items coming up. I have one other thing. As the chairperson, I'm still on the salary negotiations subcommittee, which I'm going to remove myself from, and Mr. LaBella has offered to take my place. So if you're still interested, Mr. LaBella, I'd like to appoint you to take that position.
Yes.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
We'll move on to subcommittee reports. Executive, we have not met. I don't know if there's any need for a meeting. Maureen?
Not right now.
Okay. Instructional personnel, Dr. Testaverde.
We did meet, and we met on, what day did we meet?
28th.
What day was it?
28th.
The 28th. We had a wonderful presentation from Miss Jensen and from from Kelly and from Patty, and they updated us on many of the things that you guys just heard tonight in regard to the hybrid models and developing our new schedules and dealing with MCAS. And we felt that they were doing a good job. And I think that Kelly has presented that tonight. And we were pleased and feel that everything is on a good track under Miss Lynch's leadership, and everything seems to be going positively.
With the minutes to vote on.
Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay.
All right, roll call vote. Mr. Early,
Yes.
Ms. O'Connor,
Yes.
Mr. Lavella,
Yes.
Mr. Irving,
Aye.
Dr. Testaverde,
Yes.
Mr. O'Connor,
Yes.
Mr. James,
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Mrs. True,
Yes.
Mr. Vichera,
Yes.
Mr. Lesage.
Yes.
Okay. Plant operations. Oh,
Mr. Chairman, quickly, and as
Yeah.
noted in the minutes, Dr. Testaverde will continue as chair of the subcommittee.
okay, thank you. Moving on, plant operations. There has not been any meetings. I don't believe there's a need for one at this time. Okay. Salary and negotiations, Mr. Irving, Mr. Early, I'm sorry.
Yeah, why don't you take it over? We had the meeting last week.
Okay, we did have a meeting last week. The minutes are in your packet and we need a motion to approve those minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes. for the
Second.
resolution.
Any discussion? Roll call vote. Mr. Early,
Yes.
Ms. O'Connor,
Yes.
Mr. Labella,
Yes.
Mr. Irving,
Aye.
Dr. Testaverde,
Yes.
Mr. O'Connor,
Yes.
Mr. James,
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Mrs. True,
Yes.
Mr. Vichera,
Yes.
Mr. Lesage.
Yes.
Okay. Policy, Mr. Irving.
Policy has not met, and I'm wondering, Madam Superintendent, if we need one. I know agenda item in January is a policy update, so I'm wondering if we should check with MASC and see if there's anything in the pipeline.
I can certainly check. As of right now, I don't believe we have any new policies.
Okay, so, all right, so we don't have a meeting schedule. I guess we don't need one unless you come up with something.
Okay. Meeting dates. Next school committee meeting is December 9th at 6:30. Are there any other meetings that we need to post, Maury? Not right now. Okay. New business. There is no new business posted. So we will.
Lisa,
Oh.
Lisa, could you for new business next month, we'll do a report on the resolution from MASC. We'll do a brief presentation of what the resolutions came out as. It was very eclectic this year, everything from MCAS, as most of you know, they're really, the resolutions are just suggestions that the executive committee of the MASC can go to the legislature with or whatever. They're non-binding, but we had everything from lowering the voting age in municipalities to 16 to LGBT situations, staff, to unfunded mandates and so on. But I'll have a quick review next month if that's okay.
All right, we're gonna, we have executive session. I need a motion to enter into executive session to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining with the WREA Teachers Union, as an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the committee, and upon completion of executive session, will return to open session.
Moved.
Roll call vote. Mr. Early,
Yes.
Ms. O'Connor,
Yes.
Mr. Labella,
Yes.
Mr. Irving,
Aye.
Dr. Testaverde,
Yes.
Mr. O'Connor,
Yes.
Mr. James,
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Mrs. True,
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Mr. Lesage.
Yep.
Okay,
You could just give me a few moments so I can pause the recording and the live stream, and I'll let you know when that's all done.
okay.
Okay, so if just Kara and Lisa can stay,